always good to have the old.
No, you want to have your.
See that? This is close to. This
basic,
may be over 25 years old.
Yeah, you want to have a basic, fundamental premise to go from.
So, Tanzania. It was tearing apart, and I brought it to somewhere in the store, Michael's. Yeah. And they.
Oh, they do that?
Yeah, they boarded it for me, mounted it.
All right. Well, what time is it? 5:30. Well,
almost.
All right. Well, one.
26.
Hello, Kennedy. Daniel. We're just not gonna wait for the 4 minutes. We're gonna go and get started. Tell you what I want you to do. Tell me every country on the continent of Africa that has the name of the country that starts with an A. Angola, that's one.
Algeria.
Two. He walked out, so he's not interested. James, you didn't even hear what I asked, did you? Kennedy, explain to James what I want.
Dr. Black says that he wants us to name every continent, no, not continent, country in Africa that starts with the letter A.
Angola is one. Algeria is two. Now, which comes first? Angola or Algeria? Which comes first?
Algeria.
What?
Algeria.
Why?
Because L goes before N.
Before AN. Good. Algeria, then Angola, right? Are there any more? Are there any more? All right, let's say that we can't think of any more, right? So now give me all the countries in Africa that you can think of that start with the letter B.
Botswana.
You said Botswana?
Yes, sir.
No problem, keep going.
Benin.
Benin, you say? No problem. That's two, keep going.
I've been working on this.
On what?
On these countries.
No.
She should know. She's been exposed to them for a long time. She's been exposed to that map for a minute since she was 3. She should know more than that.
No more than I do.
You said two. You said Botswana and Benin. What else do we have? All right, no problem. So you.
Burkina Faso.
No problem. Give me another. That's 3. So far, you got 2 A's, 3 B's. How many countries exist on the continent of Africa? Now, don't you find this strange? You got all these people jumping on the radio every day talking about Africa.
52.
Come on.
You said there are 52 countries. Well, when were the last 2 added?
I do not know.
Okay, when did Ghana become the country of Ghana? When did Ghana become the country of Ghana? Who was the first president of Ghana? Until the first president of Ghana, what was the country, if we're going to call it a country, what was it considered to be if it was not what we would call a sovereign country? What was it? Why is it that none of you can address any of the questions that I'm asking? How many states in the United States of America? 50. How many states were there when the country started, when it got started?
13.
13. So what were they before they became states? Colonies. What were they colonies of?
Families.
No. 13 colonies became the first 13 states. They were colonies of what?
The British Empire.
So what?
The British Empire.
So they were colonies of the British Empire. No problem. Good. So if they're colonies of the British Empire, is that the United Kingdom?
Yes.
So what kingdoms were a part of the United Kingdom? And when did those kingdoms unite to become the United Kingdom?
1600s, King James.
I don't think so.
Late 15.
What?
Late 1500s.
I don't know. You sound like you're asking me a question.
Yeah, I don't know.
I asked you a question.
Let me
And I
see.
don't think that works like that.
So, Ireland.
So can you look up United Kingdom in the dictionary?
You can look up United Kingdom in the dictionary.
Ireland, Scotland, England, and Wales.
So you have that in your notes,
Yes, sir.
right? Now, you just named 4 places. But if I'm not mistaken, when the United Kingdom started, there were 5 thrones. There were 5 thrones, if I'm not mistaken. But one throne sat higher than the others. What throne was that? The throne of England. Now, the king did not come from England. Where did the king come from?
Scotland.
Came from Scotland. So what was his name?
James Stewart.
He was James the what?
Oh, the
You said James the king. Which king?
was the first of
James the first is the King James the first of England.
and the sixth.
He was King James the sixth of Scotland. Became King James. We know this, right? What we're talking about. What's your name again?
Dennis.
I'm saying we know this, don't we?
No, sir.
Well, Dennis, how is it that we could graduate from grade school in the United States of America?
Because they don't teach us that.
Why don't they teach us
Because they
this?
don't want us to know the true history.
Who is it that is they don't want us to know? Did your mother and father want you to know?
Yes, they wanted us.
Then why weren't they teaching you?
Because they didn't know.
So now we've really got some work to do because it's so many mothers and fathers that act like they know when in fact they don't. So how are their children going to learn? Now I happen to have been on Miss Jasmine's radio program last week. There was somebody insistent on that program that Einstein was basically a dummy when he was growing up. Do you remember this, Miss Jasmine?
I remember. It wasn't me, though.
You remember that, though, huh?
I remember somebody saying it, but it wasn't me.
Yeah. Now,
Nikola
Did
Tesla
you-
was a little bit more brilliant, though.
huh?
I think Nikola Tesla was more brilliant.
You think Nikola Tesla was more brilliant than Einstein? Now, here's the funny thing about that. Einstein was basically a mathematician. Nikola Tesla was basically studying electricity or the power of electricity. They were not necessarily studying the same thing. They had to actually both study mathematics. But in fact, Nikola Tesla was a very intelligent person. But to compare, he and Einstein would be almost like comparing, I don't know, who? Who? Who would that be like comparing?
A
Who?
football player to a basketball player.
No, they were both the best football players if you compare football. or they're both basketball
Jerry
players.
Rice to,
Who?
Jerry Rice to Lynn Swan.
Well, that's a bad comparison.
Well, you said it was a bad comparison between Tesla and
Definitely a bad comparison.
Michael Jordan to Kobe Bryant.
Tesla and Einstein.
They're different kinds of ball players altogether, even though they're both playing basketball. And so Einstein and Tesla have a different kind of genius, one from the other. What is genius? Amazing, great. You know what? You need to get the people on your radio show to do exactly what he just did. Now, why is it I'm suggesting that to you, Miss Jasmine? So what?
So, no.
Kind of. But what I'm hoping to do with you is we're going to work together, you and I, and we're going to design you a strategy so that you can build something that you have in place so that you can actually help people. But right now, the way that that's going, that will never help anybody. Do you know why? You got a whole bunch of people actually committed to putting their opinions on the table. Can these children learn if we all start teaching them our opinions?
No.
There's no way possible. Well, that's the same thing that's going on your radio show. So now what happens is you wind up allowing others to waste your time. You ever look at a symphony? You've never looked at a symphony. Have you ever been to a symphony? And
I think I may have watched Sunset Symphony when I was younger or something.
good. So, but you've never been downtown when they're at the Cannon Center and they've got all the folks in there playing the violins and you've never done this. Have you ever looked at the fact that there's a director standing up in front of everyone? What is he doing?
Waving his arms, directing people.
Waving his arms, directing people to do what?
Play music.
To play the music. Okay, so if he waves over here, what is he doing?
Telling the people over there that they think it's time for them to.
So over here we've got a group of people playing the violin, right? Miss Kim, are you leaving? Oh, okay. All right, good. So they got a group of people over here playing the violin, right? So we want them to play at a particular time. We need them to come in, and we have an oboe or a group of oboe players over here, right?
Mr. Jones.
Huh?
We were back here trying to think of Mr. Jones's last name.
Okay.
Mr. Jones
He learned about Tesla,
and Edison.
and he learned about Edison, but he also learned about Steinmetz and Westinghouse. AC/DC currents, right. And we're going to make sure all the children learn this because we don't want the children to compare Einstein and Tesla. What we need them to do, because what grade are you supposed to be in out there in public school? What grade? How old are you?
11.
So you should be in the 6th grade, I think. All right. So when did you learn about Tesla?
When I was an adult, because they didn't teach us about Tesla in school.
So now what we want to do is make sure they learn about Tesla and Einstein. Because they didn't, just like they didn't teach him, they didn't teach us about Einstein when we were going to school. Other than, just like they teach about so-called black people, they taught that Einstein was a dummy when he was a child. Why did they suggest that he was a dummy when he was a child?
Possible to discredit, you know.
Why did they want to discredit him?
He was telling the truth about something, maybe.
Maybe he was. But more important than he was telling the truth about something, there were writers in this country who, because you may have been what they called a Jew, they would write things about you in order to make it appear that you are not who someone might be trying to get folks to focus on who you might be. So you're right to discredit. Matter of fact, there was a guy by the name of Herbert Apteker. Do you know anything about Herbert Apteker? Why not? I know, Mr. White, you know something about Herbert Apteker.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about Herbert Apteker.
He spent his life working alongside major leaders in civil rights and learning and documenting history and many different aspects of the African American experience and history, culture, and then later in life.
Who was his teacher?
W.E.B. Du Bois, right?
W.E.B. Du Bois was his mentor. Now, none of these children know anything about Herbert Apteker. None of these children know anything about Du Bois. But somebody called in on Miss Jasmine's radio program and said Einstein was a dummy, that he became a very small, when he was a child, he was a dummy. Now, when I was growing up, that was something being taught about Einstein to all the children, primarily because he was what they called Jewish. And they were teaching people in this country to hate the Jews. All right? But they were also teaching people to hate Herbert Apteker. Why?
I know after his death, he was largely discredited on allegations of sexual assault with his daughter.
I don't know if it was sexual assault, but I'm sure that he sexually molested his daughter. I'm sure of that.
Okay.
At the same time, that really is not my business. That's not my business. And to try to cause me to feel something, to be angry at him, why would those writing in the papers and in this country, why would they want me to be angry with him? Why?
Because if you're angry at him, you won't take anything, you won't believe. Basically, they're trying to discredit him so he won't be a credible person.
So they said he was a communist. And they said that he was having sex with his daughter. But here's the thing that they do not teach most of the children. He was writing about what he called, which I think was an oxymoron. He labeled it slave insurrections. All of you have read that, right?
No.
How can you read or study about so-called black people in this country and you've never read Slave Insurrections by Herbert Apteker?
There's so much information out there, man. What we're trying to get into is like, you just be all over the place. It's
Is
so
that
much.
right?
Yeah.
But then maybe, just maybe, you might find someone who could say, look over here, look over here. And hopefully, if you can find that, hopefully, you'll find a way to create a pattern to allow you not to just be after a whole bunch of information just for data's sake. But the thing I'm really trying to get over to everyone is they wanted people like me when I was a child and all the children to think that Herbert Apteker was a bad person. He was a communist, dirty, low-down communist. Because he was trying to suggest, well, see, these people, they weren't necessarily behaving like y'all want to believe they were behaving. They wasn't out eating watermelon and fried chicken talking about how good they were living. And they actually fought back. That's what he suggested. Now again, I don't necessarily agree with the title of the one particular work that he called, what did he call it?
Slave insurrections.
Slave insurrections. How many of you studied these so-called slave insurrections as children? Why not? The same way most of us never studied the general theory of relativity? Yes.
I know something about W.E.B. Du Bois.
You know something about W.E.B. Du Bois. So let me tell you this before you even get started telling me about W.E.B. Du Bois. What did you say?
Wow.
I liked it. Good, good. You figured that one out right quick. Because see, if you start telling me about Du Bois, I already know. You don't know anything. And 9 times out of 10, you're just a dummy who's trying desperately to keep me dumb. But you want to do this in such a way whereas it makes you look smart. So you get on the radio and you spit out bad data to a group of people that you say you care for or that you care about. But that can't help. Bad data cannot help this group of people. Now, I know this. You say you know something about Du Bois. What year was he born?
I do not know what year he was born, but I do know that he was an African American sociologist.
Was not an African American. He never claimed to be an African American, not one day in his life. He did talk about how we might want to start considering using the term Afri and Afro-American, but Du Bois was actually hell-bent on talking about Negroes. There's a letter between he and a young man who wrote the Crisis magazine about the name Negro. Has anyone ever read the letter? We haven't read the letter. Have you read Souls of Black Folk?
No, sir.
Now, if you know anything about W.E.B. Du Bois, you must read what?
The Souls of Black Folk.
Written in what year? Written in what year? I know you know what year he wrote that in. No, sir. No. You know I'm picking on you, right? Come on. No. He was born in 18-something. When was he born? Tell him when he was born, son.
1868.
Now, how is it that he knows that date and that's locked into his brain? How did it get locked into your brain?
He was born 3 years after the Civil War. That's the way you can hold
Now,
it.
this is an exercise. Now, there happens to be a whole lot of folks right now claiming to be smart, claiming to be intelligent. But here's what's weird about that. They will not utilize basic strategies in order to create a file in their memories. If you do not put a lot of data into your memory, you are going to have a problem when it comes time to living in this particular society. When you went to college, did they give you a test?
Yes, sir.
They did? How'd you do on the test? How did you do?
Did,
All right?
yes.
Well, if you did all right, you wasn't using the memory exercises that you had learned to do at the University of Tennessee. Because I'm suggesting if you learn the memory strategies, you'll do well on the test. In this country, if you do well on the test, you can actually manipulate the system to be in a position where the system looks at you like you know something, like you're smart. You don't have to be smart. You know, you become a doctor or a lawyer, and the system is set up where they make you smart because you're a doctor or a lawyer. You ever talk to some of these doctors? What do they know?
They gotta, I mean, most of what they know is where to look for what to know.
Well, yes. And it was some folks, last week your show, right? Last week, your show, wasn't that when I was there last week? All right. Tell everybody what you actually named the show.
Knowledge itself.
Kind of. But the question you asked was what? How do you come to know self? Right? Answer a question. Who wants to answer a question? Anybody, you can do it, Joanne.
I didn't hear the question.
Ask the question again.
How do you get to know yourself? How do you come to know yourself?
What's the technique or the strategy? Anyone can answer.
Look within yourself.
What?
Look within yourself.
How do you look within yourself?
You have to see yourself for who you are. You have to understand that.
How do you learn how to do that?
All I can do is explain how I was able to.
Well, let's go.
When I started researching the chakras and all of these things and trying to.
Chakras, let's see. Are we in India now?
I mean, it's just knowledge of me. Why not learn it though?
No. I'm asking you a question.
Oh,
are we in India? When you get to talking about chakras, are we in India? Won't we wind up talking about the Kundalini and all the rest of those things that come with a particular jargon that comes out of India from one of those particular languages? How many languages do you find in India?
A lot.
So you mean to tell me you might have a lot of different versions of the chakras?
Oh yeah.
Tell me about those 7 chakras, 7, right?
Yes.
Tell me about them in China. What are they? Oh, no, wait. Brandon, tell us about those 7 chakras in Egypt.
Talking about the 7 aspects of the soul.
Oh, okay. Tell us about the 7 aspects of the soul.
Ba, Kai, Ren.
Tell us about Ba.
Will Ba be the body, the matter?
I don't know. But
Ka
at the
would
same
be
time,
the breath.
okay, Ka would be the breath. But me personally, I might have a problem with Ba being anything dealing with matter or the body. Me personally.
Okay.
But all I know is,
Is it the mind?
Oh, the mind. Let's see, mind. You talking about the psyche or the soul? Oh, you talking about the word man. So, see, if you're talking about the mind, you're talking about a particular aspect of the body.
Well, like the spirit, what's that? Like the crown chakra would be.
Oh, so we're talking about the spirit being the crown?
Well, the spirit you have 7 spiritual centers from my understanding.
7 spiritual centers. So that means you looked up the word spirit. Now, wait a minute. I might be picking on you. Like somebody might think I was picking on the person on the radio, but I'm not. Have you looked up the word spirit?
I haven't looked up the word spirit because I assumed I knew what it meant. I haven't done it.
Say that again.
I assumed that I knew.
What is an assumption?
Something makes it, you know.
I know
I don't know the definition of assumption.
that's a
But
colloquial.
I know the definition of assumption, but I don't know
All right.
the Webster. I just have
Well,
assumption with it.
now Webster's definition is going to be different from the etymology relative to how over a period of time this understanding of this word is created in different lexicons. All right. So now, the basic word for assumption, I think, is opinion. Now, if we are going to help them to actually become powerful, will that be because we respect their opinions? If I respect their opinions, what am I doing to them? Come on.
Believe
Yes, you.
Me?
Well, if you said their opinions, I guess you could give them a false reality.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Why is it that so many people think they have a right to their opinions?
That's what we were taught.
You were taught that you have a right to your opinion. Now, knowing that you were taught that, did you ever bother to go look up to see if in fact you were taught something that can be of value to you?
We just took it. We took it
You just took it what?
and ran with it.
So you believed it.
Yeah.
So that might be very bad information that you believed. All right? So I know that I tried to say one particular thing last week that I think is very important. You asked everyone, how do you know thyself, right? Can you know something dealing with belief?
No,
Come on, say it again.
you can't.
You can't.
Because it only exists because you believe it.
Why was everyone that was last week, were you listening? Why was everyone talking about something to believe in, and something they believe, and some belief? I even think one brother brought up Herms or Erms.
Yeah,
He did, didn't he? Well, there's supposed to be these same laws or principles that we're talking about dealing with chakras and cheese and the 7 aspects of the soul, dealing with Erms and the philosophy of Erms, right?
Hermetic principles.
What?
Hermetic principles.
Hermetic principles. And now here's what's weird. Has everyone looked up Hermetic?
the words.
The word. Why is it important that we actually look up these words?
So you can get an understanding of what they mean.
Well, now hold on now. I asked one young man that was there, have you ever looked at how to use the dictionary? What did he tell me?
You know?
He told me no, he had never looked it up. But I had already asked him, did he know how to use a dictionary? He told me yes. Do you actually think you know how to use a dictionary if you've never looked at how to use this dictionary in a dictionary?
No.
That's impossible, isn't it? Come on, Jasmine, you got something in you that you want to get out. Say it, child. All I want to know is, I'm asking all you young people, can you actually know how to use that dictionary and never read how to use the dictionary? You can. How do you do that? How would you study the dictionary if you never read how to use the dictionary?
That'd be a little difficult.
Be very difficult. Now, I know that my generation that I grew up with, no one ever read those pages of the dictionary. And if they say they did, they're lying.
They never taught us in school how to use the dictionary. They told us to go to use the definition one and then find the definition that fits the topic or word, you know.
That's word context. I don't even think that when I was growing up, anyone ever taught anybody about, you got 7 definitions here. Find the right context.
No, they didn't.
I don't think anybody told me.
I didn't say they taught. I said that's what they said.
They told you about the word context.
They said find the definition that fits.
Well, they didn't tell me that.
Me neither.
They didn't tell me that. I didn't start learning anything about a dictionary until I decided, me personally, until I decided I wanted to know how Malcolm X became Malcolm X. That's when I started figuring out about how to use a dictionary.
So did you read the first page?
Of the dictionary? I read every page of the dictionary, yes ma'am. I've read every page of the dictionary.
So would it be important to read the first page?
It'd be important to read every page in the dictionary. It's going to be important.
Well, could I know how to use the dictionary without reading?
How to use the dictionary?
Without reading the first?
I don't think so. Matter of fact, you can take somebody that knows how to use the dictionary and let them teach you how to use the dictionary, and then never bother to read how to use the dictionary, or never bother to hear someone read it to you and actually do the work, and it won't be anywhere in the world that you've ever learned to use a dictionary. When did you come out of school? Just recently, right?
Not recently, but about 3 years ago.
And they were teaching you etymology in the school, right?
Well, at home school, not in.
So you got taught etymology in the homeschool?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So you had a chance to look into Indo-European languages.
Somewhat, but it was more like Hebrew languages.
Like Hebrew language. Which Hebrew language, in fact? Because now, Hebrew was created in Greece, right?
No, sir.
It wasn't. Where was it created?
The Canaanites and the Philistines.
Oh, the Canaanites and the Philistines. You're saying that's where Hebrew was created. Tell me the story. I'm interested in knowing. I've never heard that story before. I want to know that one.
The Canaanites, they're ancient African people.
Out of where? What area of Africa?
Northeast Africa.
Northeast. You mean up there where Egypt is right now today?
Yes, sir.
Those were like Canaanites.
No, not the Egyptians. They were separate from the Canaanites.
Well, okay. Well, who were they? Tell me about them. I'm interested because you're saying that they invented Hebrew. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Hebrew actually gets started with a cat named Abraham, right?
No, sir.
It doesn't. Hebrew was around before Abraham? Well, who?
That'd be hard though, wouldn't it?
I don't know, because I think that somebody wants to give Abraham the title of being the first Hebrew. But according to you, he wasn't. Who was it?
No, I wasn't saying he wasn't the first Hebrew. I was saying
Well, if he was the first Hebrew, they must have invented the Hebrew language after they designated that he's the first Hebrew.
Yeah, no, that was according to his nationality.
His nationality. I like that. So when did nationality come into existence?
Well, I saying with I know with Abraham, that became his nationality because it designated that he was the
Hebrew was his nationality.
Yeah,
All right, stop. Don't go any further. Can somebody help me with the question, when does nationality come into existence?
That'd be 1789.
You're saying nationality comes to existence in 1789. Is he correct?
No, I would say it was tribes at that time.
Tribes in 1789.
No, at the time, way before them.
There was still tribes here in the U.S. in 1700.
There were tribes in the U.S. What tribes are you referring to?
Yeah, many tribes. You had tribes all throughout California.
Okay, so are you talking about the indigenous people?
Yes.
All right, so right here in this area,
Native American.
right here in this area, this indigenous, you said not Native American. All right, indigenous people. Right here in this area, what were they called? You said it's Chugalisa. What? That's not bad. That's not bad, but it's close. But hold on. I think in the history books they call them Choctaw, Chippewa, and what's the other one? Cherokee. So what? Well, no, that's just basically that group is over by the river going down into Mississippi. All right, and I think they go down in the Yazoo in that area there, all the way down. All right, but no, I think if I'm not mistaken, Choctaw, Chippewa, and Cherokee are names given to a group of people by invaders.
Yeah.
So what did they call themselves? And were they a nation? Because the only way you can get a nationality, and I think nationality is the quality of a nation. Isn't that the word nationality? Quality of a nation?
I think it's ethnicity.
Oh, so now we're going to get away from nationality. We're going to go over to ethnicity.
I mean,
So what you're telling me is everything that you think that they taught you in school, that was something that was right. Even though they were homeschooling you, they were teaching you out of books that had been invented for the classroom. You know how I know that? I can hear it when you talk.
No, I just use it so everybody get a proper understanding.
All right, well, I'm suggesting this.
I know what nationality means.
What's nationality? What is nationality?
You're talking about to be born. That's what it goes to. It goes back.
All right, so that's going into the etymology of the word nationality, to be born, nacimiento. But only thing I'm looking for, he keeps saying 1789. What happens in 1789 to create nationality and nations? What'd you say? This country becomes what? The first nation on the planet. Now come on, I know y'all about to argue, right? Well, argue. I want to hear the argument. Somebody tell me, because you telling me the Hebrews was a nation long before this place became a nation.
Now, when I mean nation, you know, as we know it as today without etymology, we just go straight to the dictionary. It means a group of people.
A nation is a group of people. So now race is a group of people. So you telling me that a race is a nation of people?
No, a group is a group or a nation like the Chinese, they can represent a nation.
What nation do the Chinese represent? Now, are these
like a group of people.
Are these the Chinese that are in the hills that are called Mio?
No, that's like I said, I'm talking about a group of people.
How about this? When China was known as the Far East, what was it called? And I think that you're going to find that it was called something before it became China by the people that we're going to have a discussion about that created the way we're thinking. What was it called?
The Far East in China?
Far East.
I think it was
If I'm not wrong, what are you about to say? Come on, let it come out. What are you about to say? You sitting next to Jasmine. That's Jasmine. I can see her.
Are you talking about as far as dynasties go?
No, I'm talking about a place.
I'm not certain.
If I'm not mistaken, look up Cathay. 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 Now, we're going to actually go in and read old manuscripts, and we're going to find this information. How are we going to true it so that we actually know that the information that we find might have some tidbits of truth? And how are we going to make sure that it's truth for us? First, I really want to deal with what he said about the nation in 1789. Then she said that this country becomes, what did you say now? A nation in 1789. Huh? The first nation in 1789. Now, the history books that they taught me out of when I was going to school, they say that the second nation that ever appeared on this planet came out of France. Those are the history books that they taught me out of. But you know what I found when I got older and I started doing the research for myself? The second nation did not come from the area on the map that we call France. It was relative to the French language. They spoke French primarily. What?
I mean, not the language, but part of the concept for nationhood for this country comes out of France too, wouldn't it?
Well, kind of. The origins of what would lead to this country does come out of France, yes. And I think that two of the people who were responsible for getting a lot of information to the general public were spending a lot of time in France. I think one of them's name was Jefferson and the other was who? Benjamin Franklin was one, but he wasn't necessarily Adams. John Adams was the other. They were spending a lot of time in France. Now this is weird. We got people, again, back to the radio show last week, would actually say, you were there, weren't you, when the man said that Einstein was a dummy? Weren't you there?
Yeah, I was there.
Now, where did he get that information from? Now, that's what I was taught when I was a child, that Einstein was a dummy. It took a lot of years and it took a lot of study to find out that that was nonsense. And the only way that I was able to find that out is because I started realizing that a whole lot of things that had been taught to me was nonsense. When I was a child, it was nothing for a person to be raised a black nationalist. Does anyone remember that? You were raised a black nationalist?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I know.
Well, guess what? I was raised a black nationalist, for real. I was grown when I realized one day, wow, you mean I've gone through all this number of years actually thinking that I was really doing something. When in fact nationalism started where?
That's what it started.
Where did it start?
I believe in Europe.
She just said that, somebody just said that it starts in 1789 with the First Nation. What place was that?
It was here in the U.S.
United States. That was the First Nation. Now in school, and they were the first nationalists. And the white nationalists that you're looking at now on TV actually connect themselves to that group.
Yeah, they do.
They connect themselves to that group. Now this is going to get weird because I grew up thinking that black folks invented nationalism. I was an adult one day when I realized, wait a minute, black folks ain't invented anything, talking about nationalism. What was the second nation on the planet?
Caribbean,
Haiti.
It was Haiti. But now at the same time, they did not understand the concept of nationalism as it was being developed in what is called the United States of America. But in school with, yes, dear.
You can finish your thought, same question.
Go ahead, no.
So how, if nation means like to be born, how could they?
Nacimiento comes when you got to go in and trace and break the word apart. To be born, but understand something. Almost every word in the dictionary in English will trace back to be.
yes, it will.
Almost every single word will trace back to that, to be. Now you're going to have to understand what to be actually is talking about versus is. So what you're asking me, say it again.
I was just gonna say, like, if they weren't technically born in the U.S., how could it become a nation?
Who?
Americans.
They were born in a colony of Great Britain. It had not become the United States yet. The 13 colonies eventually come together and form a Congress, not a parliament, but a Congress.
So would it be fair to say nation is a concept?
Nation is a concept, like freedom and truth. All concepts. Like the thing you call God.
So
It's a concept.
then if this was the first nation, what was going on in a lot of the rest of the planet, particularly on the continent and on the
Great
island?
Britain was a uniting of kingdoms. And those kingdoms became an empire. And that empire had to compete with the French Empire. And what would become was becoming the Spanish Empire. The Portuguese had an empire. Rome had an empire. But the Roman Empire had actually fallen apart by now, by the time we're talking
And
about.
so the Songhai and
Songhai was an empire, and also Ghana was an empire. Mali was an empire. Abyssinia, believe it or not, was an empire.
So Mr. Black, how would empires have functioned, and the kingdoms under them would have functioned as opposed to a nation?
So now here's what we're going to do. Give me 5 different forms of government. Come on, don't you look back. Give me 5. What did you say? Democracy. Okay, give me another one.
communism.
What? Theocracy?
And I said communism.
That's 3. Let's go. What? That's 4. Give me another one.
Fascism.
What?
Is it fascism?
Fascism will not be a form of government. Fascism will be the system that we're going to use to hold the government together based on the aspect of army, of how we're going to make sure that it is sovereign, that's going to deal with your system of dictatorship. And in other words, a dictator is one, or a dictatorship is one who actually follows the rules of the dictator. So you're going to have to go step by step through each particular thing. If you're asking me about fascism, and I'm suggesting that you keep that separate from what she said democracy, socialism, I think one of you said, communism. All right, what is democracy?
Government by the mob.
Government by the mob, the unruly mob. That's exactly right. So now, if the first part of the word is demos, demos is the mob, krasi is the governed. So you put the words together and you get governed by the mob, the ignorant mob.
But this isn't a democracy according to its constitution.
It has never been a democracy. It was what? So now, if you're saying that it's a republic, what is a republic? And don't ask your phones what is a republic, because if you give me the answer from your phone, I'm going to know what you're doing, because I know what your phone is basically going to say, because it's going to tell you the answer in the way that's been determined by Professor so-and-so and Professor such and such. We're going to have to go back step by step to figure these things. No one yet has really told me anything about what you know about government. What is socialism? What is socialism? Come on, somebody just told me socialism. I know you know what socialism is, right? What's communism?
Common comes from the word common.
Stop, wait, whoa, hold on. I like that. You about to go into the etymology, but hold on. You're about to tell me something coming from the Communist Manifesto, written by Karl Marx. That is not the origins of communism. That is the origins of Marxism. There's a difference between communism and Marxism.
So, Doc,
yes,
in order to really find out what you're talking about, you're going to have to go back to the origin of the word.
How about this? You're going to have to learn how to study. Right now, people are coming onto your show and they're throwing out opinions based on something they heard, something they think they know. They don't have a clue about what they're talking about. Now, everybody keeps thinking that they're helping so-called black people when they do that. You are not helping anybody. You're not helping so-called black people, and you're definitely not helping your children when you come with that nonsense.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I noticed a lot of people explain what they were saying. The word planets, and the etymology of the word planet is to wander, and star. Earth is not a planet. It's Earth, and it doesn't wander. It doesn't move.
Okay, you're saying that the planet that you're calling Earth is a planet based on the English that you speak.
Like everybody was saying, like the planet, like you arrested Earth as being a planet, but Earth is not a planet. Earth is just Earth.
Okay, no problem. Now, we have to go into the language and understand what we're saying. Now, I've been trying to get everyone, I'm so happy you're saying what you just did. I've been trying to get everyone to stop putting the words Earth, planet, and world all into meaning the same thing. Do you know why I'm asking everyone to stop doing that? Huh?
Because they don't. It's confusing.
All right, how is it people are confusing their children? I know they're confusing me.
If you use the word planet, well, I'll heard
Because I didn't know the difference in world, planet, and Earth.
Okay.
And when I learned the difference in the three, that took away the confusion.
Okay.
And saying it that way does confuse the listener. And it's particularly when the listener is child.
Okay.
So when you use the word planet, you think of planets being round, so you automatically associate the Earth with being round, but in actuality, it is not round. It's a flat plane of existence.
It's a what?
A flat plane of existence.
Okay, now we're going to go into some mathematics. How about this?
You can't quantify the Earth.
Well, no, come on. No, come on up so you can help the children understand. Mathematically, show me how you would outline the dimension of what you call Earth or the planet.
So that's the problem with man. They always trying to quantify. You can't quantify the Earth. It's infinite. It goes on forever.
So I don't even want to quantify. I do want to qualify what you're saying, though. All right. So now, with the qualification, how would you draw the symbol of the planet Earth? Now, I'm going to go even one further. I'm not even bothered going to draw it on that. I'm going to look up there on that wall up there. And you see this clock.
They use sundials for a clock. The clock is just based off the sundial.
So you saying that where in ancient Africa somewhere, they had these sundials that they use sand in, they turn them upside down, and it run out?
Well, that's an hourglass.
That's an hourglass.
The sundial shows the shadows of the sun. That's where the clock positions came from. Because
Oh,
the sun
good. I'm so happy you're saying that. So that means that you're willing to take them outside tomorrow when the sun is up and show them how to read the shadows.
Well,
how to actually measure the buildings based on the shadows. Is Lewis here?
Just last week, I saw the moon out at 11 a.m. all the way through the whole day at 11 a.m. at the same time as the sun. NASA said it's not how it works.
No, wait a minute. Whoa, you about to mix some things up. I would venture to say to you that we're going to deal with Greenwich time and zones and time zones and the whole bit. And I understand that. In other words, I can look on a watch and I can follow how time works. But at the same time, if we really get into a dimensional conversation dealing with time and space, or we're really about to do something.
Time is a construct, though. It's a construct.
So now you're talking about a word. Now you're talking about a word in order to describe a thought that I think he said something about a concept that is out in what you call space.
Let me go back to Einstein. See, that's where Einstein messed up with gravity. Gravity doesn't exist.
I think Einstein was talking about Newtonian gravitational theory. I think it's what Einstein was talking about.
He also believed in heliocentrism when the Earth is round.
I don't know if Einstein believed anything. As a matter of fact, I think that he just did some research and looked up Einstein. And you say you found a bunch of quotes from Mr. White? Didn't you tell me you found a bunch of quotes from Einstein that when you traced it, none of the quotes came from?
Almost any time in contemporary social media or even in published media, even sources that are like considered mainstream textbooks, everywhere that you see a quote from him is not actually something he said.
It's not what he said. All right, so now, when he was talking about the general theory of relativity, I know you can put the mathematical equation on the board and explain it to our children, right? See, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to suggest to you that Einstein's theory of relativity was correct. I'm not trying to suggest that. I am trying to suggest that he and Bertrand Russell and others were actually thinking. Now, I'm also knowing that the majority of us who are talking about this now, we're just repeating something they thought about. That's not how we want to do this. Now,
can I ask you just one more question?
Yes.
What do you think? Do you think the Earth is flat or do you think it's round?
Here's what I think. I think what you just asked me is what do I believe? That's what I think you just asked me.
What do you know? I want to know.
Oh, I know this. I know that when I walk to the beach, I can look at the horizon, and I now can look past the horizon, but when I do, if a ship is coming, it will slowly come above the horizon.
It's perspective. Horizon is horizontal, it lays flat. Water doesn't curve.
Horizon horizontal goes back to Horace.
Can you make water curve? I don't care what you put it on. If you put it in the bottle, it's level. You turn it like this,
but if you put it in the bottle, it takes the shape of the bottle. But what we're doing now is we're going to engage into some conversation like what is it? what do they call it? The chicken crosses the road, and is it a noise in the forest when the tree falls and all that? I usually don't engage in those kinds of things. The reason I don't is I do not try to help these children learn suppositional thought. I do not try to help them learn how to suppose something. If we're going to actually learn this, young people, you, Kennedy, how many ways have I tried to get you to learn this map up here on the wall? Do you know how many ways that I've been trying to? Do you know how many ways I'm trying to get them to learn?
Not how many.
No? Well, how about this? What dimension is that up there on the wall? Somebody says
it's a
one.
plane.
What?
It's a plane.
It's a plane. Okay. So how many dimensions is this? Somebody said 2. Now, how many dimensions is this globe up here? What? Now you're saying 3. And see, what I'm suggesting is a lot of us are about to start arguing about concepts that most of us have no idea about.
They look like a ball of energy up there. They look like what NASA shows. They illustrated in CGI.
Well, let's do this since we're doing something else. I tell you what, you wanted to know anyway. We're back because he just brought us back. When you look out there and you look up into space, as you call it, how far can you see?
You can see a star, big stars, and you have.
How far can you see? How far is the star?
According to them, they tell you it's 93 billion miles away and all this crazy light years and all this
All
stuff.
I asked you is how far is the star. I'm not trying to measure by miles. I think it's a long time away. I think it's a long time away. And I think you're not going to measure it miles. But looking up, everyone, what's your name again? You. Sit behind Miss Jasmine.
Cora.
Miss Cora. When you look up out there and you look to this long time away that he's talking about, how can you see the stars? How can you see them?
They're bright in the sky.
They're bright in the sky. So tomorrow when it's daylight out there, can you see them? Why not?
Because it's too light.
The sun is out.
The sun is out. So what is the sun doing?
The sun is always out.
It's a luminary.
The sun is always out. Good. You say it's a luminary. Now, I'm willing to almost bet that tomorrow the atmosphere will be translucent. Right now, the atmosphere is what?
Transparent.
Transparent. Well, why is the atmosphere transparent right now?
Because it's cooler.
If it's transparent, you can see through it. When it's translucent, you cannot see through it.
Not trapped in the sunlight.
So now, if the sunlight is actually inside the atmosphere, and you're looking up, and the only thing that you might see might be what you call the sun or what you call the moon, why is that all you can see? But yet tonight, you can see those stars out there.
Lights.
You're saying what lights?
The sunlight.
What about the sunlight?
It's trapped.
Trapped by what?
The atmosphere.
So then what are you looking at?
Air.
So you're looking at gas, you're looking at air. So I would bet you that everyone was taught in school that you can't see air and you can't see gas. And I'll bet you that everybody's thinking that right now you can't see air. Is that right? Is that right? Now,
certain gases have certain colors.
Certain what?
Certain gases have certain colors.
Okay, good. So now, when you're talking about those colors, are you talking about Roy G. Biv?
Like you can go into the concept of how the eye perceives color now.
All I'm finna go into is the concept of how, who was it you just said, Newton?
I didn't say Newton, no. Gravity.
I thought you said
That's
something about
garbage.
gravity.
That's garbage. Yeah, gravity, that's garbage.
As who?
That's garbage. That's hogwash.
You're saying gravity is hogwash.
You put helium in the balloon, it goes up. You mean to tell me gravity is gentle enough to let a balloon defy it?
Well then, so you're saying gravity is not the thing that's keeping you firmly on the ground.
If I live in Australia on the bottom of the globe, is it making me stick to the ball? Does it make me right side up?
I understand. I understand, but now, where did you learn all this that you're telling me?
I hate to say it because I know people are gonna be ready to.
No. Whatever people are ready to do, where did you learn?
I mean, just by reading the Bible and how the firmament and all this stuff is explained, and how the sun tells the signs for times and all this. the earth is rotating, that means the sun can't be for times and signs for days and months like God said it was. But if you
Now
NASA,
this God that you talking about now, who is this?
Most High, the Creator,
Who?
Yahuwah, Yahweh, whatever you want to call them, just the
So
Creator.
now we get back to the Hebrew. What was this language that
the Elohim.
the Elohim? The Elohim. All right. So now, what was this language that they spoke before Hebrew? Not Amharic. What was the other one? I'm asking. What was it?
Aramaic.
Aramaic. That's a good one.
But Hebrew is before Aramaic.
Oh, Hebrew is before Aramaic. So Hebrew is created where now?
Oh, it's we're basically the Canaanites, the Hebrews, and the Philistines all spoke the Hebrew.
Was it our king?
Well, how about this? How about this? What I'm almost thinking we're getting ready to discuss y'all's beliefs.
Already?
Say that again?
You're already discussing.
Yes.
Are we discussing beliefs?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully what we're trying to do with the children is we're trying to get the children past that concept.
Opinions and beliefs.
The concept of belief. Does everyone here know what belief is?
It only exists because you believe in it.
So you're saying belief is something that you believe in doesn't exist?
But I know this to be true because this is what I've experienced and I've seen with my own eyes. I can't make somebody else see it.
So then tell us what knowledge is.
Knowledge? I don't know. I mean, the definition you probably looking for me to give, I don't know.
See, first of all, how many of us are actually starting to try to figure out what definitions are?
I've recently just started.
What's the definition?
I haven't been doing it in a long time.
What's the definition?
Yeah.
It's to define the meaning of words.
Who's defining?
The person that's researching.
It's the context in which the person uses the word.
Okay, so now you're saying a commentary on, and then creating a context. So now, in each period of time, if you look, the definitions are going to be different.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that when Shakespeare was writing, he was using words in an entirely different way than some of those words are being used today.
Hark.
Those
Stir
are
not a foot to
definitions.
strike thy
What?
foe. I said, hark. Stir not a foot to strike thy foe.
But now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Are we about to go through this? Are we about to go through this where you said something about Tesla? Do we want our children to actually know how Tesla developed his ability to think the way that he was thinking? Or do we want them to just believe some stuff that they're making up? Because, and you've read the Bible, right? Now, the Bible comes from what book?
I mean, it goes all the way back to the Sumerians, with the Sumerian tablet. That's where it started. It was the first with the Anunnaki and all that, but that's all deception.
All I'm asking you is about this Bible. You read it in English, right?
It came from Hebrew text.
You saying the Bible, as you read it, comes from Hebrew.
Well, I know it's been changed. Of course, I know that, but it still doesn't mean it's the truth.
All right, what language do you speak now?
I just speak English and a little bit.
All of the English Bibles, would you please name them for me?
You got the NIV, you got King James, you got all these. I mean, the only one I mess with is King James. I don't read all this other stuff.
King James.
That's it.
So, and you tell, what's his mother's name now?
Who mother?
King James. He had a mother. What was her name? What was his last name?
King James letter?
Yeah. So you don't really know anything about what you're talking about. You just doing the same thing that you were doing when you were rushing that information out on her radio show.
That's semantics, though. When I get to
So what are semantics?
I knew he was going to hit me with that. I'm going to stop using words that people get me with this on, but I'm just going to tell you from my experience in reading it, I can relate it to what I see going on.
Now you see what those are over there on the table? Those are called dictionaries, right? Where's yours?
I have one at home, but it's not as old as this one.
You have one at home. Are you using dictionaries to research what you're talking about?
If I don't understand the word or what I think the meaning of the word is, I will, but usually...
You're talking about their definition. All right. What is it to define, Al?
Define actually means to limit or outline. That's what the word define means.
So you mean to tell me the definitions in that dictionary could limit the way that I think about
They are
things.
going to limit the way that you think.
So why would I use the dictionary?
So you can find the source. The word etymology literally means the true sense of a word, the origin, how it came into the lexicon, what it meant at
Well,
that time.
I tell you what, young man, I bet you better go and try to find out what the origins of Hebrew are. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet you wind up in Greece.
Oh, no, sir. No.
I'm only making a suggestion.
You don't wind up in Africa.
In Africa for Hebrew. For Hebrew. Okay.
Israel was considered as part of
Israel did not exist any place except in heaven.
No.
When did Israel come into existence?
As a kingdom.
As a kingdom, as a whatever you want.
Around 1,300 BC.
Israel.
Yes.
Now, are you talking about something relative to Ishmael and 12 tribes and all of that?
Yeah, Esau, all that. Jacob.
That's what y'all talking about. Well, trust me, that's not what we're doing. Because what I'm suggesting is you may want to go and research that carefully in such a way so that you can actually find the origins of what you're talking about before you put that in front of your children. You might really want to do that.
We have the Dead Sea Scrolls and we have
Dead Sea Scrolls, you talking about Nag Hammadi?
The Apocrypha, the Book of Enoch, all of that.
Are you talking about Nag Hammadi?
No, not.
Well, tell me what Nag Hammadi is, and then tell me what the Dead Sea Scrolls are.
Well, not Hammadi. I guess it's the same thing as the
The Book of the Dead.
I would book it. Wait a minute. You know what? I think we want to leave this alone because,
I
again,
think probably he needs to talk with my man Brandon after class.
you tell Brandon Imhotep.
Brandon Imhotep.
Imhotep. Okay.
Is him right here? Peace.
Him right there.
Peace, bro.
How about this? Well, before we, because we're gonna waste a lot of valuable time.
I want you to finish and I'll stay out.
Wait 1 second. What did the children just say? The children made a comment. What did you just say? I said, what are y'all doing? Guess what they said. What did you say?
I said I'm about to get my homework.
Because
You all are going back in court.
What's your homework? What's your homework, Kenneth?
I have math homework.
Good.
So when there's knowledge involved, there's
well,
no
you
need
all
for a
don't
back
get to
and
do that
forth.
first of all. But I hear you. But it's still something in here that you can learn. Okay.
Now say that again.
When it's knowledge, when what we're talking about is based on knowledge, there's no need for a back and forth because knowledge is just real and it never changes.
So you mean that you can actually bother to figure out how to look things up in such a way?
Right, and not assume that I know, like.
Again, here's what we're up against. You come in a class like this for the first few times, you run into your own predispositions, what you've been predisposed to believe, or what you believe that you know. But if you don't know how to true truth, which you just can't do that overnight, that requires some real investment in the tools and the know-how to apply. And what happens is a lot of times you run into your predispositions and it's painful.
Yes.
Because I'm so invested in being right. And it's very, very difficult to learn anything different if I'm invested in being right.
It's painful.
Doc,
It's painful.
Yes.
It's
Doc,
painful.
Doc,
Okay.
this what came to my focus was that when I first got here and you was talking this language that I knew nothing about. And and I was limited in what I thought I knew. So once I started doing the research, then I saw it increased whatever I thought I knew. And and what it made me was it made me more consciously aware of because this coming from somewhere. Where is it coming from? That's what I want to know. I ain't here to prove to nobody what I know. I'm here to become so aware that I won't have to think I know. I know.
Knowledge is proof.
Wow.
You can prove what you know. You can't prove belief. It's impossible. But you can prove what you know. It's mathematical.
No, before then. Yeah, before
But
then.
isn't it true that the kingdom of God is within you? He whosoever looks
Oh,
within himself
what
shall
now?
find.
Okay, so
Good.
good. So if you are going to find the kingdom of God within you, how are you going to get there?
I seek with them. I can't get it from nobody. I can listen to people, but
No
I can't
problem,
find
no
it within
problem. But
myself.
how are you going? Her question was, how do you come to know self? I think you said you had to look into self, right? How do you do that?
Wise to know what self is.
More than wise. More than wise.
Self. I mean, everything is, I mean, I'm trying to, I mean, I don't want to seem like I'm not trying to come off as if I'm just saying what I feel. That's all.
How did you study this? How did you study what you're feeling?
I started studying energy, how everything started. Energy, frequency, and vibration. I understood that the spirit is a vibration. This is just a physical manifestation of my spirit. That's the only reason this exists. I create my own reality through my perception. This is not reality.
And what spirit? What spirit?
My soul, my spirit. The spirit is just in my body. I mean, I don't care about the definition. I know.
What are you talking about? No definition.
It's all throughout my body.
It's all through, and
Yes.
it has the shape
It rests
of your
the
body.
tailbone of your spine. And it shoots up through your spine, up to the crown, the top of your head. Which
Does it come out the top?
No, it doesn't come out. Energy is radiating through this whole room. The ether is what you can't see. Energy is
So,
everywhere.
sir, have you studied? Is that you read that somewhere? You studied that? You
Yes.
got that
You
information
researched
somewhere?
Yes.
And you researched it. So here's what I have to say. I judge that when you walk into a class such as this, there are children sitting in here, and we have a personal responsibility to have integrity about what we know. So when I say have integrity and have some accountability about what comes out of our mouths in front of these babes. So we have a responsibility to, if you know that you know that you know, then I'm all right with that. But if you don't know, we have a personal responsibility for putting out information that's going to affect their learning, their thinking.
They could come from anybody. If that's the case, I just won't, say anything. If that's the case,
No,
nobody should be talking.
that's not what I want. I just ask you one thing. The stuff that you're putting out, is you.
It may sound foreign to you, but I mean, this may be the reality for me. I'm just done. Like I'll listen to you because I came here to get information from you because you're a bright brother.
Yes.
That's why I came. I just wanted to ask a few questions.
But this isn't about. I don't judge. I need you to hear me, sir. This isn't about jumping on you or making light of what you judge. You know.
That would be pride. I don't have pride. I dissolved pride and ego a long time ago. I just what it is what it is. If that's how you feel, I can't control it.
I just had to bring up the fact that when you see children, it is important to know what you're talking about because what you say, they hear.
And so here's the bottom line for me, is that unless you can give us sources, definite sources where we can all go and find that, I have to know it's based on something solid. And when I don't have ego, I am open to hearing what other people say and not trying to combat it, everything they say.
I didn't combat it. I just asked.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. That's what you've been doing.
Yes, that's what you've been doing. And so it's okay because we all have an ego. And even though you say you've lost yours, you put it aside. But ego is what drives you to have something to say every time. This man who you judge has something that you could use every time he puts something out there to you. And it's disruptive in a sense and concerning to us because these children hear things and they are easily influenced. And so what we have to tell them is to be careful of who they listen to unless they can hear sources that will give them definite information, to just kind of put that aside and hear where they can go and find
But
this
one
out
thing
for
about
themselves.
it, all of this, if we keep sending this kind of thought out to people that we say we care about and we're relative to, we're going to further confuse them.
But did I not approach you in a manner of asking questions? I never tried to
Well,
challenge you.
well,
You said
well,
everything.
well, here's the thing.
That hasn't been my experience.
Have you,
Perception?
There you go. That's what you've been doing all night.
One thing though that I have
And there's that.
not make reference to at all this evening or anybody else is the comparative analysis by which, from what I can understand for the past 35 years that I've known you,
But
that's the
see,
basis
we've
of
got to
which-
get to a point where people are willing to understand how to do the work. And it's what I've been trying to do my best to suggest that you're going to have to, if you're going to expand your show where you can help so-called black people, you're going to have to show them how to do the work. Right now, they don't want to do any work. Everything is just based on what I believe. You can't win like that. In other words,
He gave you a reference,
who?
young man,
What's the reference?
the Bible.
So I was trying to ask about that particular book, the Bible. So far, no one has answered me about how many English Bibles actually started out with the language English. One, which one was that?
It started out with the language.
Yeah, English.
No.
No, the English, you have the King James Version of the Bible.
Version, yeah.
What do you mean, the Wycliffe? And,
But before that was the Wycliffe,
Okay.
okay,
and before that was
Tyndale.
Tyndall, yeah, okay.
There's a number of English Bibles. Now, just like there are a number of English Bibles, what we do is, since you know about definitions and language and the whole bit, Webster's first name is what?
Noah.
Good. And the writer of the English definitions, or I should say the English lexicon, who created their dictionary, what was his name? Now understand, if we don't know anything about the language that we speak, we don't know how to trace it, we don't know how to build what you have to build in order to true whatever it is that you're speaking about. When we say truing, how long, you know how to true something now, right?
Oh, yes.
Well, explain the mathematics of truing. And before he does, I know you can tell me about the mathematics of truing, right? Yes, you.
Well, first we have to know what true means.
You should. But what are the mathematic components or the arithmetic components of truing?
No true.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see the whole
The concept of truing something? What is it? You can't tell us. So you don't know how to mathematically true something.
I mean, can you give me a definition of true?
When I say the mathematical ability to true something, is if I drop this, that is where? Where? I'm asking you. It's on the floor. Someone earlier said that the floor was a plane. You said it's the surface. So now we have to deal with dimension. Now what we're trying to do our best to do with our children is we want them to understand that if this is laying horizontal on the floor, then that is a lie. When it stands vertical, in this way, it stands vertical, that is what? Carolyn? Well, this is our Harvard graduate, and she has one of those rings. You know, what does the ring say that you have from Harvard? Veritas. So now we're taking the word back so we can understand what they were talking about
Verily, verily.
in Latin. Now when we come up to verily, verily, I say, now we're up with Snuffy on the plantation, convincing some folks by saying something over and over and over again. What we're actually trying to do is get people to learn how to go into themselves. But how do you get there? Right now, what do you know about the alphabet that you write with? You write with English, right? What do you know about the alphabet that you write with?
I'm almost scared to say anything. I'm just gonna listen for the rest of the time. 'Cause I don't wanna talk.
Kennedy, the alphabet that you write with, is that an English alphabet?
No, sir.
What alphabet is it?
Germanic?
No, Germanic is rune. Is rune. The alphabet that you write with comes from what? Roman, Latin. Now, we have to go back to the African hieroglyphic to find out what each letter means. Have you done that with your Hebrew?
Yeah, because Hebrew is once pictographic or hieroglyphic.
Have you done this with your Hebrew? Do you know what each letter means?
Yes, sir.
Tell me the alphabet in Hebrew.
You got the aleph, that's the ox.
When you say aleph, it's the ox. No problem. Keep going.
The bakes, or it's like there's different ways you pronounce
The what?
The bakes or by eats, how you want to pronounce this? The house.
How do you spell it?
That's right.
The house. It's how I spell it.
It's Beth. Beth is good enough. Or Beta in Greek. So it's the house. Keep going.
Then you got aleph, bet. You got gimel,
And that's,
a camel.
it can be a camel.
Yeah.
Now, in one, see, they changed what you call Hebrew a number of times after it actually evolves from the African hieroglyphic. It changes like 5 different times, the alphabet itself. All right? So where you have Gimel, where you have a meaning, and here it's, what did you say with the camel?
Yeah,
Camel? Well, in the book that I put together on the alphabet, what is it, Kennedy?
Sir?
What is Gimel?
D?
D is Daleth in Greek.
C.
C is Gimel, but in the African hieroglyphic, what are you looking at?
Boomerang.
A boomerang. A boomerang. Now, why is the boomerang there? Now, don't you think this is strange? In the African hieroglyphic, there's a picture of a boomerang. Where do you find the boomerang? Well, how in the hell did it get to the African hieroglyphic?
Stand your question.
That is a damn good question.
Not only that, these ancient Egyptians, did they use the letter C in their alphabet?
K. Okay.
The letter K was Greek.
Oh, okay.
It came about with Greek. But now you've got to go back to understand what it is. And I am suggesting that if you're going to actually study the origins of languages, you got to do a lot more work than deal with somebody's belief. You got to get busy and actually teach yourself how to do this. What?
I said Hebrew, it's not a belief. It's
What is it?
actual language, the actual ancient language.
So is Yoruba. So is Yoruba.
Yeah.
It's an actual language. And they actually have a name for God. What is it?
Yahuwah. Well, the Yoruba, they had
Some other name. Now you know what it is in Hebrew, but you don't know what it is in the Yoruba.
It was kind of simple. It was similar, I believe. Because Yoruba, they were Jews.
Oh, Yoruba were Jews. You got to really do some work. We're not going to get into that right now. We got to go in a minute, so let me do, I know I got to do something right quick. First, Taylor. Taylor, are you paying attention to me, Taylor? Read your comic strip to everyone. Do you have to take some time? If you do, to get it together, I need everybody to take a piece of blank paper. Everyone, take a piece of blank paper. Fold it into 9 squares. All right, I'll come back to that. While she's doing what she's doing, fold it into 9 squares and write the numbers of your integers. Write the numbers of your integers from 1 to 9 on your 9 squares. Let's go, Taylor. Introduce yourself and tell everybody what's going on.
So we had a visit to the Air National Guard on last weekend. And they introduced us to several of their command posts. And so when they got back to school, the challenge was for them to make a comic strip or develop a comic strip. So I knew that they understood what happened while they were visiting the 164th Airlift Wing at the Air National Guard. And so I passed out a few, you can give someone on that back row. She did a comic strip by herself. And I thought it was worthy of you all seeing it. So go ahead, Taylor.
This comic strip is about Colonel Raymond Robinson IV and the 164th Airlift Wing of the Air National Guard.
Now go ahead.
Security forces. Are the guns all ready? Yes, they are. Communications.
Which was the first station?
First command post
First
was
command post.
Security forces.
Security forces. So what did the comic strip, what did they say in the security forces?
Are all the guns ready?
Are all the guns ready? Okay, the next command post.
Wait a minute, and the soldier replied what?
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. Okay.
And so what was the next command post?
Communications.
And what did the commander ask?
Are the computers fixed? The soldier said, yes, they are fixed.
The soldier
The
said.
soldier said, sir, yes, sir.
The last one.
The last one says, Robin, I am Colonel
Raymond.
Robinson, the 4th of the 160th Airlift Wing, Air National Guard, and this has been a long day.
How old are you, Taylor? What?
7.
Okay.
She moved through all of these stations, and she remembered the stations based on the field trip.
That's right. I put the
Okay.
stations on the
You
board.
sit next to
But
Kennedy?
she was able to tell us what happened
What they did
in each station.
Kennedy, catch her up. How far have you gotten? You got all 9 of your squares? Do
Okay,
you
now,
have your
come
squares
on.
separate? Go catch up, Jerry. Show me your squares. Show me your 9 squares. Now, what you asked me, this is your magic numbers, your 9 squares. All right? Now, as you learn this, then later, depending on which pyramid you go in, you'll find other diagrams that will give you other numbers to follow. But right now, all we want to do is just stick with 9.
Okay.
Now, how many integers are on that clock, Kennedy? How many integers are on that clock? James, how many integers are on the clock? What did you say?
5.
How many integers are on the clock, James?
Not intervals.
Integers. 9. Good. Now, I have had people come and argue with me about there are more than 9 integers. Nonsense. There are only 9 integers. When you get to 11, what happens with your integers?
Repeating them.
So 1 and 1, then 1 and 2. But you do not have an integer called, you don't have one of those integers. There are only 9. Then there is 0. 0 is not a number. A number is a quantity. All right? 0 is also not what? It is also not a quality. In order to know what I'm asking, you would have to do the research on the word 0. That takes you back to what language? Arabic. How do you actually say the word in Arabic? If you can't pronounce it, don't worry about it. Just pronounce it the way the letters pronounce in what you call English. What are the letters? You're always talking about this, and this is what the children have to learn in order to transliterate. Z becomes a what?
S.
An S. E becomes a what?
I.
That's right. PH. And the last letter in Arabic is going to English letter, Roman letter. In Arabic is going to be what? R. Good. If you ever look it up, it tells you that what they were doing when they created this is they were trying to create a concept that was the absence of quantity and the absence of what? Then how is it now they're teaching our children that zero is a number? And we got to be real careful about this one. They're teaching our children that you cannot see what? That you cannot see air. But in fact, I just heard you tell me that you can't see through the atmosphere. If you can't, what must you be looking at? 9 times out of 10. Now, this is weird. People who would suggest that they're not looking at air cannot tell me what the gases are that are in the atmosphere that make up what you call air. What are the gases?
Nitrogen.
Carbon what?
There's a little helium in there. 121 oxygen.
Carbon what? What did you say? Carbon dioxide. Good. Kennedy, tell me the best device that you can know for the gases that are in the air. O. There shouldn't be an O involved.
That was an expression, I think.
But I don't want any expressions. See, I don't want, if we keep guessing, if we keep not being able to track what it is that's being said, we're going to keep having the same problem we've been having. And we're going to keep believing a whole bunch of nonsense.
An O2 analyzer?
Huh?
An O2 analyzer?
Say it again.
An O2 analyzer?
What's an O2 analyzer? Tell me.
I mean, we use it to measure, like, I'm a respiratory therapist. That's what we use to measure, you know.
Okay.
Oxygen content in the blood. But Kennedy, what is it? You know?
Okay, I'm gonna start you out. Okay. Don't you worry. Quit. Don't you be acting like that. Stop. All right, here we're gonna do it together. Never. I can't hear you, Daniel.
Never open any closed doors near you.
Real simple. And he just told you all of the gases in air. What did he tell you, darling? Nitrogen, oxygen. The closed doors are going to be your carbon dioxide. All right. But he said, what? Wait a minute. What are you doing? What do you have it on your head for? Never open any. She wants to know what any is. Argon. Good. All right. Never open any. Closed doors. Near is what? Neon. Helium. Now, understand, the children have to learn that they may run across a SAT or ACT test that may actually ask them a question, and in the question they'll find hydrogen. We want them to learn that in some tests, hydrogen will not be there. They're going to have to discern what their professors want. You see, we're not going to change anything out here by making stuff up. Nothing. We're actually going to have to get in and beat these schools because you're going to have to know their tests better than they know them. Whatever they want as far as an answer on that test, you're going to have to know what to do. Because now I'm asking all of my students to make a what on the ACT? A what?
36.
36. Now, how many of my students have made it 36? Who can tell me? Kim, I know you know. How much did Jordan make? Well, one thing about it, I think when he first took the test, he made a 29, but he never studied. He never even tried. What did Jessica make?
1580.
What?
15,
That's on the set.
SAT.
But she also took the ACT also. What?
35?
She made 34 and later a 35.
What's his name made 36?
Who?
Cortland?
That's right. Cortland made a 36. You're absolutely correct.
I told
Now,
him to stick
he's
it
the
on
one in the nut house right now.
I
What?
told him to stick it on the front of his head when he went to Ridgeway in the special education class.
I understand. But now understand
Just
something.
like Einstein. had
There's a
something.
reason for us to learn in the way that we have to learn. Now, if you're telling me that you want the children that are going to be responsible for creating an environment that you're going to live in just a minute, to know some abstracts that nobody else on the planet actually knows, I'm going to suggest to you that they're not going to be able to take the MCATs and ace them. Now, I'm going to hope that these young people are going to be able to do that. Aren't you introducing them to algorithms?
Simon's on the board now. We did
Good.
that today.
All right, you have your nine numbers. Or I should say your 9 integers. Make them each separate. Tear them in a perfect square and make each one separate. Good. Good. Are you keeping up with me, Taylor? James, are you keeping up? Now, I know all you adults can do this, right? You've done this before, right? You haven't.
It's been so long.
You have, but it's been a long time. What am I about to ask them to do?
To put the numbers in the order.
I want you to place numbers in lines and columns.
So they all equal 15?
And then I want them to all come out equal in 15. All right, now, we don't have but a couple of minutes, so we need to get this done right quick. Did you understand what I said? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I don't care how you put them. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, that's 3 lines and 3 columns. Now, when I want them all to come out 15, which way do I want them to come out?
You know they got the cards too.
They can use the cards. So all of you who have cards, use the cards and numbers.
It's just one deck.
No, not a perfect line, son. Take it, put 3 in a row, in a line. 1. That's 1, that's a 3. That's 1, 2, 3, right? All right, now 1, 2, 3. Just 1, 2, put 3 more down. That's right. Until it comes out 9. Right? Actually experienced grade school, elementary school, grammar school. You actually learn arithmetic. I was asking them about the arithmetical principles of truth. The mathematical, how do you actually true something? How did your grandfather true whatever he was building? Was it a doghouse? Was it an extra room on the house? How did he true everything he was doing?
Check, double check.
How did he check, double check? What did he do?
Measured it.
He measured it. How did he measure it?
Dimensions.
Use a level with the
duct-
tool.
What you call it?
What?
Measuring tape and
Measuring tape, planes. He had all the levelers.
squares.
Good. So when it's on the level, what are we looking at?
Horizontal.
When it's on the level, it's usually true. When it's on the level. When it's not on the level, and it's off, and you take a leveler, you take a device that has 3 holes in it, and each one is going to have water in it. And if you place it down on your table, on your surface, what you want is all 3 horizontal lines of water inside the device to be even, right? So once that happens, then it's true. But now, what if I have to smooth it? What is it that you're doing when you smooth something? So you're actually trying to make sure that it's going to be on the level. Is that right? So you mean to tell me that everybody building something with bricks, they're supposed to learn this? Is that right? So when you're building this room, you have to learn. Why isn't that when you're building this thing you call self, why don't you have to learn this? And then, why doesn't it have to true according to arithmetic, according to mathematics? If it's not truing that way, it must be something you're doing incorrectly. Now, right now, they're not possibly going to be able to understand everything that I'm saying to them. Now, do you have 15 going everywhere you look, every which way you look? You do. At the bottom, she has 7, 8, and 9. How much is that? That's 24. You can't get 15 like that. So now you have to figure out how to move those integers around. 1, 5, 9. Good, that's 15. That's 15. That's 15. Keep going. 1, 4, and 7 is only 12. So until you get 15 in every direction, every way you look, you don't have it. Now, how come they didn't teach us how to figure it out when we were growing up? You know why they didn't teach us? Because for some reason there's something going on here that said they were not going to teach you how to read, and they were not going to teach you how to see things arithmetically. In other words, I would venture to tell you there's some children in China that are learning how to count on a what? On an abacus. And on an abacus, what do you use in order to count? And how do you count the beads? What is the system that you use to count them? If I'm not mistaken, you use 2s and 5s. And with 2s and 5s, you should be able to count any number quickly. And what I'm hoping is that I'm going to come in here at some point in the near future, and I'm going to ask these young people, you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
What's 5 times 9,433,336?
Oh, Jesus.
Ah, that's what I don't expect. What I expect is I expect an answer in how long? How short? The time? 30 seconds. But I expect them not to use pencil, not to use paper, not to use calculators. Now understand, we can practice mythology all we want to. I don't care if it's Greek, Hebrew, Yoruba, Egyptian, Negro. I don't care what it is. But you're not going to solve your problems with your children practicing mythology. You know what mythology actually is? Mythology is the study of what?
Stories.
The study of myths. Now, don't get me wrong. I am a Joe Campbell student. I am, for real, a Joe Campbell student. He actually taught us how to study myth. And there is such a thing as power in myth. But I do not want you to get caught up with the Bhagavad Gita, Zoroaster, the Zohar, or any other myth that has been on this planet. You have to learn how to study in such a way that you gain power. In a short time, if we're doing this correctly, and the children are about to start with you, Lewis, every day practicing the stock market. So we're going to get them to understand how to spot a symbol. We're going to learn how to follow symbols. Now, are you practicing the stock market?
I started touring with it, did not left it alone.
You started toying with it. Now, you have practiced. You one of the ones that was talking about Black Wall Street, weren't you?
Oh, no.
That wasn't you. Were you talking Black Wall Street?
No, I wasn't talking about that.
You were telling me something about Tulsa, Oklahoma.
No, I was naming them. I just threw that.
Oh, you know about the rest of the Black Wall Streets.
Yeah,
Tell me about them.
No, I said I'm still.
Oh, you're discovering the Black Wall Street. Well, how about this? In Memphis. And Memphis is one of those places that had a Black Wall Street. Memphis, Tennessee. And what I'm hoping is that you're going to learn how to do what A. Maceo Walker managed to do. Also, A.W. Willis, you should learn what he managed to do. Now, if we can use those as templates, those things that they did as templates, then we have a way to let's do this again. Now, what Jasmine is trying to do on the radio, aren't you actually trying to get a group of people to understand themselves well enough to put this all back together again?
I don't know if this, but I know how to do it.
You don't know if you know how to do it. You don't have to worry about knowing how to do that. Right now, you asked a good question. You asked everybody, do they know how to find self? How to study self? Now, you said how to come to know thyself, right? Knowing thyself, does that have anything to do with believing in yourself? Absolutely nothing. Yet all we've been talking about is a bunch of beliefs. But yet, you say you can find yourself with these beliefs. I'm suggesting if you really want to know self, first of all, you've got to understand how knowledge works. Now you've got to apply it. Just take the word self. What's the first letter?
Yes.
So what is it in Greek or Hebrew? What is it in Greek? What does it mean? What is it? Now, to know what it means, you should look at the African hieroglyphic. I think they said it comes out of Egypt or somewhere.
I think I masticate.
It's a what? Well, tooth is what you do. You masticate with the tooth. So you chew. So when you think, what are you doing? What are you doing when you're thinking? You chew. You chew. So now, when we are putting the food that he keeps talking about for what you call the spirit into yourself, do you want to chew on some waste?
No, you won't get anything.
Nonsense?
You won't get anything.
And if you do, all you're going to have is nonsense in the end. This is real, yes.
That was another paragraph. The sheen is the T, that's the SH.
No problem, no problem. So now you've got your alphabet book, right?
Yes, at home.
No.
And in my laptop.
No, he doesn't have an alphabet.
What?
You talking about your alphabet book?
My alphabet book is the same one that's in the World Book Encyclopedia. It's the same exact alphabet that is in the World Book Encyclopedia. Where does the alphabet that is in your World Book Encyclopedia, where does it originate? The Rosetta Stone. Where does the Rosetta Stone originate? What year are we in?
1789.
He says 1789. I don't think so.
98.
Now you say 98. We're going to get us confusion going on here. Napoleon is where?
In Egypt.
He's in Egypt. And what does he take with him to Egypt?
Scientists.
How many scientists? Now, wait a minute before you answer me. I'm just asking everyone to do the work that it takes for you to have the data so that you can truth things. Right now, we're just going on belief.
That's what it took to count the South Space. No.
Now, see, Al wants to play. I don't want to play. What? Okay, now, yes.
It's on a whole different page. Is there a way to get to the truth about the penny stock?
How about this? I don't want you ever to get to the truth. What I want you to get to is truth. All right, so now, what you're going to do, are you signed up on the red pill right now?
No.
All right. If you don't sign up,
CD.
what?
I need a CD, some CD
We'll work on that. Hold on, I got you.
Okay.
But if you don't sign up on the red pill, it's going to be hard to work with me, and I won't be able to get you signed up.
But I also read that, and I'm not sure it's the truth. No, not the truth, but true.
The truth.
That it's a scam. It's a lot of scams.
Listen. There's scams with everything. So you're going to learn how to truth things for yourself. Now, she just made a statement about doing comparative analysis. So now, in order to compare things, I think someone was comparing Einstein and Tesla tonight, and I was suggesting that might be a bad comparison. We don't want to do that. But you are going to learn how to do comparative analysis. So let's say you're going to compare the story of the Bible with another story. Where would you find another story to compare the stories that you find in the Bible? Where would you find another story to compare that to?
From a different Bible?
How about this? Is the Quran a Bible?
It's their version of the Bible.
Is what?
It's their version of the Bible.
Whose version?
The Arabs. That's where it started.
Come on, stop. Hold on. Do you know in India what they would actually use to be able to allow you to learn how to do a comparative analysis with the Bible? Have you ever read the Bhagavad Gita? All right, in Japan, there's a book. It has been translated into English. It is called the Book of Shinto. All right? You're going to study this if you're studying the Bible, so that you have one thing to compare to another. You got it? But first, we have to go step by step, so we don't want to go too fast. In other words, I don't want you to go in and try to invest $50 on a stock. You know, you're buying Home Depot or something. Don't do that. All we're going to do, we got to leave in 5 minutes. All we're going to do is we're going to look at some things, and you're going to take a chance on maybe 1/8 of a penny. Now, if you invest 1/8 of a penny and you want to buy 100,000 shares, how much do you spend out of your pocket? I don't want you to spend $1,000 to start out. I don't want you to spend any. As far as I'm concerned, just spend $10, $20. First thing you got to do is teach yourself how to do something. We don't want to believe Snoop Dogg or anybody. You're going to go step.
No, I got somebody on the phone. I just asked them a question relative to special theory of relativity.
Okay.
So, Guido.
Specific theory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Einstein's special theory of relativity. Is it a theory now?
It hasn't been, special relativity has not been considered a theory for a long time. Special relativity has to do with things like time dilation. If you want to really want to dive into special relativity, Interstellar would be a great movie. They talk about special relativity a lot. Time dilation and the twin paradox and how the faster something moves, the slower it experiences.
Wait a minute, stop. Aren't you the same young person that they said that was never going to be any good in mathematics?
Yeah.
A mediocre student at best.
A mediocre student at best. And now he's on here in my class teaching about the specific theory of relativity.
You mentioned something about GPS. You was telling me something about they couldn't have GPS.
Yeah, GPS because satellites move so quickly because they're so high above orbit. They have such speed. There's actually an infinitesimal interval of time that has to be compensated for the signal going to and from that satellite. And because they're also moving so quickly, those satellites actually experience time at a slower rate.
Wait a minute. You sound like a mathematician, but you got a dual degree, right?
Yeah.
What's your other degree in?
Civil engineering.
Civil engineering. So now, was I adamant about you doing what you had to do in order to be the best of all that was over there?
You said if I can't be the best in both, don't do it.
Now, all I know is we got some children that we got to make the best.
Thanks, man.
And mythology is not going to get it.